Good morning, everyone, and welcome to InvesTT's virtual tour of the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate. I'm Shirley Henry Gibson, and I am the Manager of Marketing and Communications at InvesTT. You would have been receiving emails and meeting requests from me within the last few weeks or so, and it certainly is a pleasure for me to be your host here today. As some of you may know, InvesTT is a national investment promotion agency, and we are charged with the responsibility for attracting local and foreign investment into Trinidad and Tobago. Part of our role also is to promote and tenant some of the country's major industrial parks. And the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate is the newest addition to our portfolio of industrial parks. And this is why we're so excited to have you here today, so that we can show you all that there is to offer at the Phoenix Park. We're really excited to see such a good mix of participants here today, private sector participants, business chambers and associations, diplomatic missions, and state enterprises. We really want to thank you for your interest in Phoenix Park. So we're still admitting a few more people as we speak. Our tour guides are ready to go, but before we get to our tour guides, I'd just like to share some guidelines with you before we start. During the tour, please keep your video and mic muted so that we can keep the distractions at a minimum. You'll be invited to write questions in the Zoom chat at any time during the tour. Just use the chat button at the bottom of your screen. When you click on it, you can type in your question, but make sure to move the box over to the right-hand side of your screen so that it doesn't interfere with your viewing. At the end of the presentation, you can remain muted and the tour guides will select the questions to be answered during our session. However, should we not have the time available to answer all of your questions, we'll be sure to get back to you with follow-up emails after the presentation, because we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need to make your decision to tenant Phoenix Park Industrial Estate. Please note that the tour is being recorded, so it will be uploaded to our website and will be promoted by our social media channels after today. Also, today's presentation will be available to you via email by this afternoon. So on to our tour guides. Our first tour guide, Seku Allen, is the president of InvesTT, and he's a strategic business development professional. Having lived abroad for many years, he has an extensive background in Toronto's real estate development and leasing markets. Since his return to Trinidad and Tobago, he has played a leading role in investor targeting at InvesTT since its inception. His primary focus at InvesTT is to improve Trinidad and Tobago's profile as a viable investment destination. Our next guide is Pramila Ramdhani, who is our VP of Investments, also a returning diaspora. She comes with over 20 years of global leadership and industry experience in business model innovation, entrepreneurship, corporate governance, stakeholder engagement, and talent development. Her primary focus at InvesTT is to source local and foreign investors to Trinidad and Tobago. Our next guide will be Stacy Adams, who's our Vice President of Investor Services. Stacy has led and motivated teams in many Caribbean countries where she's lived and worked before coming back to Trinidad and Tobago. She comes with over 25 years experience in investment promotion, broadcast media, marketing, public relations, sales, corporate communications, banking, and finance. At InvesTT, her primary focus is to provide strategic oversight of local sales efforts to drive reinvestment in new projects and investment opportunities. So at this time, I'd like to hand you over to our first guide, Seku. Over to you, Seku.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Appreciate it. And happy to be here with you all this morning. I'm seeing a significant amount of traffic in the chat already, and I love the energy. So welcome. Good morning to those of us in Trinidad and Tobago and in the same time zone, and certainly good afternoon and even evening to those of us in the regional and international sphere that are with us today. I see that we're somewhere around 50 participants, and as I've indicated, the traffic in the chat has already started. So we expect a very lively discussion when we get into the question and answer period of the webinar. I want to just thank also my tour guides as well. They will be leading us through today's agenda through the virtual video and more specific details on Phoenix Park. And I'm happy to have them here with me. So as Shirley would have indicated, I am the president of InvesTT, and InvesTT, as many of you already know, and for those who don't, is the investment promotion agency for Trinidad and Tobago, a state entity reporting to the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And our mandate is really to attract, facilitate, and retain direct operational investments, both foreign and local investments. And a very important part of that mandate includes pairing investors with the appropriate industrial or office or commercial real estate required for their investment and required for their expansion. And so we were very excited to be involved with and to also be handed the mandate to tenant the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate. The estate is really the first industrial and commercial space in a significant manner being offered in the central part of the country and in close proximity to the to the Port of Point Lisas, as well as the Point Lisas Industrial Estate. And so that location and its proximity to the port really started us off with a high degree of energy in terms of the promotion of the park, and of course, collaborating and working with our close sister agency, ETEC, in the development and the tenanting of the park. And so we're happy to have that mandate and happy to be here with you today and welcome you again to the video tour and presentation. Certainly, again, I am happy to be here with Stacy Adams and Pramila Randani, and as you've seen, the long history of experience, both internationally, regionally, and locally in facilitating investment and in serving customers towards a particular end. And so I'm happy to be one of the tour guides to lead you through the tour and presentation today. So what we'll be doing as we look through the agenda, taking a quick look at a 5-minute virtual tour video. As it is a construction site, of course, we were constrained to make site visits onto the site itself. And so we will give you the best virtual tour of it as possible. And then my co-tour guides will be leading you through a slide deck presentation on more detailed information on the park, its attendant benefits, its attributes, the progress of the construction, and when it will be available for tenants to take possession. And then we'll get as granular as looking at lease rates, lease terms, as well as, very importantly, the role that InvesTT will be playing, as well as ETEC, in the application, onboarding, and ongoing support of tenants on this park. So again, we welcome you. We will be spending a significant amount of time at the end of the presentation for the question and answer period. As Sheila would have indicated, you can type your questions into the chat group at any point during the presentation. I will be reading through those questions at the end and responding along with my tour guides. And so we will have some interactivity in that 15-minute question and answer period. And certainly with the traffic already in the chat, we expect that to be highly engaging period of the webinar today. And so without further ado, I will now introduce you to the 5-minute video tour of Phoenix Park Industrial Estate.
Welcome to Phoenix Park Industrial Estate. Construction on the estate started in October in 2020, and as you can see, it's fairly advanced and construction continues apace. The park is located just 5 minutes to the north of the Point Lisas Industrial Estate and just a 10-minute drive from the Point Lisas port. The estate will be home to advanced manufacturers, light industrial activity, as well as those involved in logistics and distribution, all of whom will benefit from close proximity to the Point Lease's port, as well as advanced infrastructure supporting commercial activity, inclusive of 5G telecom capabilities.
The Phoenix Park Industrial Estate spans across 144 acres and will be the first 5G networked industrial park in the Caribbean and Latin America. Phoenix Park offers 76 leasable lots for light industry activity, 2 leasable lots for commercial activity, 5 customizable factory shells, which can accommodate up to 4 tenants each, and lot sizes ranging from 0.5 to 10 acres. The park's landlord, eTech, will ensure that the completed and commissioned estate is outfitted with modern facilities and infrastructure, which will include underground electrical and telecommunications infrastructure leading to each of the lots, LED street lights, natural gas supply to approximately 4 lots, boundary high security fencing, a security surveillance system, and controlled primary and security entry and exits. Additionally, each factory shell will be provided with a backup generator infrastructure, roof and wall mounted exhaust fans, fire alarm, sprinkler, and smoke detector systems, among many other features. Here's an update on the construction progress. As at March 31, 2021, all pre-construction approvals have been obtained for the site's infrastructure works. Pre-construction approvals for the 5 factory shells are currently being sought by the design-build contractor, Beijing Construction Engineering Group. 25% of the construction of the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate has been completed since the start date in October 2020. Excavating, filling, and compacting structural fill material to the leasable lots are in an advanced stage of completion. Additionally, the preparation of the subgrade to receive the first layer of the road material is also in an advanced stage of completion. 3 out of the 6 detention ponds of the estate's drainage system are substantially completed. Foundation works have commenced on the estate's wastewater treatment system and on a reinforcement concrete bridge located on the northern side of the estate. Installation of the sewer lines and natural gas lines have commenced and are approximately 20% completed to date. In terms of electrical power supply, Tenant has commenced the upgrade works of the distribution grid to the estate and also the procurement of upgrade equipment to be installed at their Savanetta substation, which will provide the source of electrical power to the park. With construction underway, the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate is taking shape and is expected to be completed by December 2021. Are you interested in setting up your manufacturing or logistics company at Phoenix Park Industrial Estate? If so, InvesTT will assist you in the process every step of the way. Get ready to advance your business and bring your factory to life with 5G at the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate.
This is just a virtual sneak peek of the park, and we invite you to contact InvesTT in order to do a site visit of the park. Again, welcome to Phoenix Park Industrial Estate, and we look forward to having you.
Thank you very much, Sheila. And I hope that would have given the participants today a good overview of where we are on the park and what the park will offer. And certainly the video was done about 3 weeks ago. So we've seen even more construction activity happen since that video was taken. And so Pramila will now take you through the introduction to the park, some of its benefits and its progress. Over to you, Pramila.
Thank you very much, Seku. And a very warm and special welcome to all of our participants today, including our investors, entrepreneurs, business associations, foreign embassies, and consulates. Thank you for taking the time to join us on this virtual tour of perhaps one of the most innovative projects in Trinidad and Tobago, designed to drive economic development, job creation, and the future of manufacturing and logistics and distribution. With all protocols observed, I'm pleased to provide you with a deeper dive into the benefits and the investment opportunities of the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate. The Phoenix Park Industrial Estate, as you know, is located in central Trinidad, and it is located on 144 acres of land. It is perhaps one of the first projects to be developed in the Caribbean under the Belt and Road Initiative. When completed, it will also be one of the first 5G-powered industrial parks in Latin America and the Caribbean. So what are some of the investment opportunities for businesses at this park? There are 5 factory shells available, 76 land lots for light industrial activity, logistics and distribution, as well as emerging technologies. There is also an additional 2 leasable lots for commercial activities. Do know that the 5 factory shells will also be, they come with square footages with up to 50,000 square feet, and they will also be available for tenants, up to 4 tenants. There's some flexibility there. So what are the type of businesses that are ideally suited for this park? As I mentioned before, manufacturing and assembly, logistics and distribution, and emerging technologies. These are the 3 types of key businesses that we are targeting at the park. In terms of benefits, what are some of the key benefits to investors at this park? Certainly easy access to markets, availability to the closest port, Point Lisa's port. It's also 5 minutes away from the Point Lisa's industrial estate, Plibdeco, increased data capture. It has also a modern infrastructure, which I'll review with you in a moment, competitive lease rates, and certainly upcoming special economic zone incentives. In terms of location, the park, as I mentioned, is centrally located. It's located in the heart of the Couva area. It's located close to the industrial park, and it's about 32 kilometers away from Port of Spain. It's ideally suited for those who are interested in exporting and distributing to our regional markets, as well as our North American markets. So what are some of the benefits of being located near to a port, and especially the Point Lisa's ports? These are some of the key advantages, competitive advantages at the Point Lisa's port. It's multi-purpose. It operates 24/7. Certainly, it's a coastal natural harbor with vessels accommodating up to 500 feet. There are 6 commercial berths at the Point Lisa's port. It's, as I mentioned, it's 32 kilometers away from Port of Spain, and certainly very close, 5 minutes away from the Point Lisa's Industrial Port Development Corporation, or Plibdeco. So it is your gateway to the Americas, both North and South America. I mentioned there were 3 clusters that we are looking at for this park, and this gives you an overview, color-coded overview of the types of industries we are looking for. At the bottom of the screen in the yellow area, that's the area that we are looking at for firms that are interested in logistics and distribution. The other area, the purple area, is the proposed area for manufacturing types of firms, whether it's advanced manufacturing, light manufacturing, or assembly. The orange areas to the left of the screen, the 5 blocks, those are the 5 factory shells I mentioned before. We will go through those details in, my colleague would go through the details of those factory shells in a little bit. On the Phoenix Park Industrial Park as well, we do have container parking, and you would see that to the left, to the right of the screen, color-coded in light green. This area, the park also will also have landscaped area, and there's a green area specifically where the arrow is pointing at this time to the right of your screen, bottom right of your screen. The park also will have 6 detention ponds located across the park. So in a nutshell, this is a view of the proposed type of clusters, industrial clusters that will be available on the park, and also some of the amenities that will be available. In terms of being a modern and innovative park, the following includes some of the key infrastructure details on the park. Certainly, there would be zoned areas of clusters, as I mentioned earlier. There would be access to utilities, all will be underground, as seen in the virtual tour. There'll also be LED street lights, and certainly the area will be secured in terms of boundary high security fencing, as well as surveillance. As mentioned before as well, this will be one of the first industrial park in Latin America and the Caribbean to be powered by 5G. And the site is being powered by 5G by 2 key partners. That's TSTT and Huawei. So what are some of the key advantages of 5G? Certainly, it improves connectivity. It is faster. It is super fast. Faster than Wi-Fi. It is very reliable and very secure as well. And it allows you to have multiple devices as well. And some of you who are considering setting up smart manufacturing types of facilities, this would be the perfect park to have that. In terms of park progress, as you also saw in the video, it is under construction. It started in last October and is scheduled to be completed by December 2021. All of the pre-construction's approval from our infrastructure works have been completed, 100% that is. Some of the detailed designs are still being completed, though we are 90% completed so far. Again, this is an overview of the site construction progress. It's 25% completed, and it is moving along swiftly. The road networks and all of that have already been carved. Water waste treatment plant completed. Sewer lines, natural gas lines are being installed as we speak. 3 of the detention ponds have already been installed and completed. In terms of lease rates, and to take you to the next phase of the details in terms of the opportunities, I'd like to invite my co-worker and colleague, Stacy Adams, who's the Vice President of Investor Services. Stacy?
Thanks so much, and morning, Pramila, and a warm welcome again to all participants joining us this morning, those from right here at home in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as those overseas. We're very happy that you've chosen to be with us to hear of this fantastic opportunity that is Phoenix Park Industrial Estate. You would have heard a lot about what the park offers, starting with the video by our president, Seku Allen, as well as from my colleague, Pramila, VP Investments. Before I move on to speak to the lease rates at the park, allow me to say how very happy we are at InvesTT to be sharing this gem of an opportunity with you. Simply put, this project excites us. We're excited by the transformational nature of the undertaking, as well as the levels of collaboration across government to ensure its success. We're excited by the momentum and the progress we see daily at the site, and we're encouraged by the significant levels of investor interest in what will be the Caribbean's first 5G industrial park. What you see pictured here is an artist's impression of the finished park with its modern infrastructure in an ideal location close to the port of Point Lisas. I encourage you to not miss out on this opportunity to locate your business on this highly sought after piece of real estate. Now we move on to the lease rates, and we start with the land lots. So the land lots are going for US $15,800 per annum per acre. That works out about $106,000 492 TT. Lot sizes range from ½ acre to 2 acres. And of course, VAT and common maintenance charges will apply. Next, we move on to the factory shells. The factory shells are going for $75, and that works out to approximately $5.06 TT per square foot per month. Once again, VAT and CAM charges will apply. And just to make a comment about the land lots, that although we have ½ acre to 2 acres, there also is the option for flexible configuration depending on your needs. We're going to go into a little more detail now about the factory shells. One factory shell can accommodate 1 or 3 tenants. Those are the 3-way shells, with the ground floor being approximately 34,000 square foot, mezzanine floor 8,700 square feet, with a total of about 42,884 square feet. 4 factory shells can accommodate 1 or 4 tenants. So those are the 4-bay shells. Ground floor of approximately 45,553 square feet, mezzanine floor of 11,600, totaling 57,178. I think for me, I think that the important takeaway here is that there is a space for you at Phoenix Park, whatever your space requirements. Think of your current location, think of what's not quite right about it. Are you bursting at the seams or just making do with current constraints? Are transportation costs prohibitive because you're not close enough to a port? Do you need a more central location? Do you have a fantastic business idea as your company pivots in response to the realities of COVID-19, but you haven't yet identified an ideal location? I think Phoenix Park can be a solution for you. Please don't delay, contact us. Let us start the conversation with you that we've started with so many others who are already well on their way to securing a lot at Phoenix Park. So I urge you not to miss out on this opportunity to locate closer to your export market, to lower your transportation costs, to benefit from introductory lease rates, and to increase production with 5G. All of these speak to the very solid value proposition of Phoenix Park Industrial Estate, and I encourage you again to take advantage of the opportunity it presents. So we are working with ETEC, as our president would have mentioned. We're working with ETEC, and ETEC is the site manager for the park. We're happy to collaborate with them to make Phoenix Park a reality. ETEC is the park manager, and this role is in keeping with its mandate to develop new modern economic spaces that can expand and diversify Trinidad and Tobago's economic base. ETEC, as you may know, manages a number of state-owned real estate assets, which include 2 hotels, 16 industrial parks, the Tamina Intech Park, the Moruga Agro-Processing and Light Industrial Park, and now the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate. I have to highlight again that ETEC will ensure that all statutory approvals for the development of the estate are obtained. And so you've been hearing from us. Some of you may know us well, others perhaps not so much. I invite you to consider InvesTT your partner in business facilitation. We are the investment promotion agency of Trinidad and Tobago, and our mandate is to attract, facilitate, and retain investments. Tenants will benefit from advice and guidance on the application process and assistance with regulatory and registry matters. But I must highlight here that our facilitation services go well beyond just assisting you with your application and getting you set up at the park. Yes, we're here to hold your hand through the entire process, but we also offer aftercare services, which ensure that even after you're operational, any issues or roadblocks which may arise are dealt with so that your operations run smoothly. The ultimate objective of our aftercare service is to resolve investor matters, work intimately with you to understand your 3 to 5 year outlook, understand your needs, so that we can spur reinvestment in the productive sector and therefore benefit the economy. So what's next? We've been encouraging you to apply, and here's how we do it. You work with us and you would submit your key documents for our review. It's important that we have a first look at it so we can address any gaps, address any other issues, so that once those documents and your application are submitted to eTech, it's a fairly smooth process. So after our review, we submit the documents to eTech for their approval. And once approved, eTech will provide the letter of offer directly to the company. I say again, don't miss out on this opportunity, don't delay. And remember that we're here to assist you in every step of the process while you apply. And there is a relationship that we want to nurture with you after you're up and running on the park, to everyone's benefit. I think this park is a win-win for everybody. So please don't delay. So I'd like to hand over now back to our president, Seku Allen, as we enter the question and answer segment.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Pramila. Great tour guides, great co-tour guides, I should say. And again, thank you all for being here with us. Let me take this opportunity, and I know we're just at about 10:30, so we are right on schedule to spend 15 more minutes with you, and maybe even beyond that, depending on the amount of questions we have. But just before we go into the question and answer session, let me just take the opportunity to thank some key partners that we've been working with and that I've seen that are on the chat group or in attendance today. Certainly, the TNT Embassy in China has been working very closely with us. We have weekly meetings with them and the Beijing Construction Engineering Group, and they are a key partner in targeting and attracting FDI from China and raising awareness of Trinidad and Tobago as an investment destination, as well as Phoenix Park as a location for tenants that could come in Trinidad and Tobago. So we thank you for the ongoing work, and we're happy to have you attending, and also key members of the other foreign missions that registered and in attendance. We are happy to continue working with you in promoting Trinidad and Tobago as an investment destination. And of course, I'd like to thank key members of the team at eTech, who's, as Stacy would have highlighted, the park manager, owner, and operator. And we see VP Capital Projects, Daniel Duncan, is on the webinar here with us today. Their president, Steve DeLass, as well as key members of their real estate assets team, who we've been working very closely with in the onboarding and the facilitation of tenants. So we look forward to working with the other business associations on the group, and we see several of them on the webinar here today. And again, as well with the private businesses to really look at some of your questions and the proposals you have for the estate moving forward. So as we jump into the question and answer session, just looking through, and we do have a question from Miss Beckles. Hello, Miss Beckles, good morning. You have asked, and for the benefit of the rest of the group, recreation space seems to be almost as big as logistics. What am I missing, or is it just me? So what Pramila would have presented in terms of the zoning for the park is really a guide, and it's to ensure that we are considerate of the various type of operations that may exist on the park. And so we wanted to offer a guide as to where like type businesses could operate on the park. So distribution and logistics being one, and of course, manufacturing and assembly being a second. And so the areas allocated are not hard and fast, they are a guide, and it really will require a lot more in-depth interaction with the individual investors to determine your space requirements, your configuration requirements, as well as tenants that may be in close proximity to ensure that we offer a win-win solution for all investors coming to the table. And certainly the recreation space would have been a part of the approval process for the park going forward. And we are always cognizant of the environmental impacts and the community impacts of the development of these types of parks. And so the space for recreational space is with recognition of both of those areas. But of course, we'll continue to work with tenants to ensure that we are able to offer the size and configuration that they require. So I hope that answers your question, Ms. Beckles. I see another question here. What are the lease terms? So this question is from Wayne Bernard. He is asking, what are the lease terms? How many years are the rates fixed for the duration? So the lease terms are a 30-year lease. renewable for another 30 years. So in fact, 60 years at the outset. And so the rates, the introductory rates will pertain for the first 3 years where there will be a rate review, and ongoing from there, you have rate reviews for every 5 years within the lease. Of course, those rate reviews will be in interaction and collaboration with the park landlord and manager, which is ETEC, with a cap for where those rates can go. So to answer your question, 30-year leases renewable for another 30 years. The rates, the introductory rates fixed for the first 3 years. Thereafter, there would be 5-year lease rate reviews in collaboration between the landlord and the tenant. Thank you for the question, Wayne. Hope that answers it. Moving on to a third question. And this question is from Mark Edgehill. Good morning again, Mark. The question is, with respect to the introductory offer rates, can you advise on the difference in the rates between the standard rate and the introductory rates, and what the duration of the right? So I think may have answered a bit of your question in the past answer, but the introductory rates are the rates that pertain now at the commencement of the operations of the tenant on the park, and those will pertain for the first 3 years of the 30-year lease, after which there will be rent reviews every 5 years. So the introductory rates are in fact the standard rates as they apply, and the rates that would pertain now that would be reviewed after the first 3 years with a cap on where those rates can go moving forward. And I hope that answers your question, Mark. Another question here from David Bali. How are the rents determined? Are they market rents? And that's the David Bali of Farrell and Associates. Great question, David. So the rents were determined in collaboration with ETEC and InvesTT. And we, of course, did look at market rents and market rates in the area. Of course, the economy and where the economy is now. And we would have also looked not just at rates in the area around Phoenix Park and in Trinidad and Tobago. InvesTT certainly would have taken a look at rates at other special economic zones or parks in the region, looking at, I believe, if I remember correctly, we looked at Jamaica, we looked at Costa Rica, we would have looked at Panama as well as Miami. So we really wanted to ensure that the rates that we would have provided would have been in line with what the market is experiencing both locally and regionally. And further to that, of course, in interaction with the individual tenants moving forward, we continue to discuss those rates. So really, you are correct. We really looked at the market rates out there, and of course, the government's and InvesTT and ETEC's intent to populate the park and have it be an important part of the economic development and diversification of the country. Hope that answers your question, David. Moving on to the next question, just making sure I don't miss one. Good morning, everyone. Sally Singh from the VP Association of Real Estate Agents. 25% completion is significant. However, is a completion in December 2021 still possible? So the answer to that is yes, and that is the completion date that we are working with in collaboration with ETEC, and of course, ETEC in constant collaboration with the contractor, which is Beijing Construction Engineering Group, and all information available suggests that the park will be complete and that tenants will be able to take possession in December of this year. And of course, because of the high profile nature of the project and how important it is, I think, to the country and the particular tenants and their business expansion goals, we will continue to work with the stakeholders involved to review and keep track of the progress of the park and to ensure that we're able to hit that December 2021 completion. Another question from David Bali. Good question. Is a premium to be paid at the start of the lease? And the answer to that question is correct. Yes. So Stacey would have taken you through a bit of the application and onboarding process. There are some corporate documents to be provided by the prospective tenants, inclusive of your corporate registration documents, as well as an application form specific to the proposed operations. Those will be submitted to ETEC, who would review, approve, and then issue a letter of offer. And upon acceptance of that letter of offer, which is the legally binding commitment to lease the space, there would be a premium paid at the beginning at the execution of that letter of offer. And that premium is representative of, I believe, I think 20% of, almost like a security deposit, 20% of the first 5 years of rent. And of course, that would individually change depending on which lot or the size and configuration of your lots. And then of course, the annual rent would begin being paid upon the possession of the lot and operation thereafter. So hope that answers your question. We have another question here from Ryan Asiu at Director Sawsome Foods. Hi, Ryan, good morning. Happy to have you here. The question is, good morning all. Given that the park will be the region's first 5G industrial park, will industries with high automation, low human labor be preferred over industries with intensive human labor processes? So that's a great question. And certainly I think the intent of offering 5G in the park is to accommodate companies that would be highly automated and to ensure that the connectivity of the automation, the automated equipment can work well within the telecom infrastructure of the park. This is not to preclude manufacturers or other entities that are higher, on the human labor side. So really with 76 land lots and 5 shells, we believe we have space for all. Obviously, different businesses are at different stages in the automation process. Yes, that is where the world is going. Everyone is not there yet. So the intent in the size and the configuration and the amount of lots being offered is really to accommodate as many as possible. Of course, futurists looking towards the future, really being able to accommodate those with highly automated processes. But of course, there will be space for those that are more labor intensive. Great question, Ryan, and I hope that answers your question. This is great. So the chat is very alive with questions. Another from Mark Edgehill. And I'm going to start throwing these questions out to my co-tour guides as well. Would tenants be allowed to sublet land or building space to third parties while they ramp up their own operation to grow into the space? Would there be restrictions? So let me feel this one. There is an allowance in the lease for subletting after a particular time frame within the lease. And so the intent really is what the tenant intends to do on the park for there to be an allowance for the tenant to operate, to construct and develop their property and operate within the tenants of what they have indicated they're going to be doing on the park. It escapes me exactly the time frame over which that may be the first 5 or maybe in 10 years into the lease, but the intent really here is for an investor who indicates that they're going to be operating in assembly or distribution and logistics, or if it's in high level or higher end manufacturing, that they would continue to operate in that manner. And certainly as the economy and the external environment changes further afield 5 to 10 years, there can be an allowance for sublet. Of course, that will be at the landlord's approval. And so whatever that operation may be, it would need to continue to be within the ambit of manufacturing, assembly, logistics and distribution, as well as emerging technologies. So while there is some flexibility around that sublet, it must be approved by the landlord. And the intent is for at least the first significant time within the lease for the tenant to operate in the areas that they've indicated in their applications. The second question, follow-up question is, would there be restrictions? And again, we really are keeping it as broad as possible within manufacturing, assembly, logistics, and emerging technologies. Really need to, on a tenant by tenant basis, have a discussion around the individual outlook for your operation. Again, the intent is to be as open as possible within the areas that have identified and the guidelines for the zoning of the park. I see your response, Ryan, thank you. Question from FCMC, happy to have you on the call and good morning again. Would tenants be assisted with getting town and country approvals? Stacey, let me throw that question out to you.
Sure. Yes, happy to report that we will be able to assist with any and all approvals that tenants would require. That's part of what we do here. We're set up to make sure that we get you operational. So whether it's licenses, permits, stuff from the EMA. Depending on the nature of what you'll be doing at your lot or at your factory shell, there will be different requirements, and we're here to help each tenant get what they need to become operational. I have to say as well that there's some tenants who, depending, for example, maybe the foreign-based ones who may be coming in, may require external expertise, may require subject matter experts or technicians to come and set up machinery or whatever else may be required. We also help with that. With respect to getting smooth entry at the airports. And we know the challenges, what's happening with the borders, and so to also lobby for entry for any sort of specialists or technicians that may be required to come in to make this a reality. I think the good thing is that all of government is on board to make this happen, and you can rest assured of InvesTT's assistance with whatever will be required to get you up and running in the quickest time possible.
Thank you very much, Stacey. And just to highlight what Stacey is saying, InvesTT's work does not end when the application is approved. InvesTT's work does not end when the tenant takes possession. In fact, much of the work we do begins when the tenant takes possession. And Stacey and her team are dedicated really to assisting the investor in achieving their developmental timeframes, their construction timeframes, and getting them operating as quickly as possible within the timeframes they've set out. So this is going to be a long-term relationship. This is just the beginning. To all the private businesses that are on the call, and those of you who are interested in tenanting the park, those who are querying whether they would be interested in tenanting the park or whether they would qualify, we invite you and we encourage you to contact us. My co-tour guides and myself are available for contact on the park, and you would see their contact details on the screen in front of you. Of course, we will be sharing the slide deck thereafter as well. And so you will have access to their contact details, email, office line, mobile line, WhatsApp, LinkedIn. Across any platform, we are available and are ready to engage with you on your specific questions and your proposed operations for the park. So as we continue into the question and answer period, Shirley, if you can just keep the contact details on the screen for a little bit longer. We have a couple more questions, and so we're running just about 15 minutes, but this is great. We love the interaction and engagement. Question from Wayne Bernard. For the leased lots, do you have a predetermined building design, or are we able to build any design? So, great question. While there's not a predetermined building design, ETEC will be providing park regulations that will outline the guidelines within which tenants will be able to construct. So you will, and one of the main tenets behind those guidelines will be that the tenant would really need to ensure that all of their operations, their container traffic, their truck turns would be accommodated within the acreage that is allocated for their operation. So there are regulations and guidelines that are going to be issued that will provide a guide for you as you do your building designs, your initial designs, as well as your final designs. As well, there will be significant interaction with ETEC around your finalized designs, because those designs will need to be approved by ETEC as well. So while there is not a solid predetermined building design, we obviously have to allow you the flexibility to design in a manner that is best in alignment with your operations. There will be guidelines that we will provide to ensure that the look and feel and the operations, your operations within your space are in fact in alignment with what all the other tenants will be guided by on the park. Hope that answers your question. Wayne, FCMC, I see that you thanked me for answering your previous question. Mark has another question. Would there be any non-compete protection for tenants operating whereby a competitor would be prohibited from acquiring a lease? Very interesting question, Mark. And certainly in my previous history, previous life, we've seen some of these non-competes apply to more commercial retail spaces that have been leased out. On an industrial basis, there has not yet been a discussion around a non-compete protection as an overall offering on the park. Certainly, if there's a justification behind that based on a particular tenant's operations, we are open to that discussion, of course, between InvesTT and ETEC to determine what the requirements really are there. But At this point, there is no upfront offering of non-compete protection. But of course, in alignment or furtherance of your own operations, that discussion will be open between InvesTT and ETech. I see a question from Philip to the group. Any restrictions on type of activities, welding or painting, for example? Again, there are no outward or upfront restrictions, and the welding and painting, I'm assuming that question is more in alignment with the construction work to get the tenant on board, or may also be ongoing operations of the tenant as well. And so no, there are not any outward restrictions, but again, on a case-by-case basis, there will be engagement between InvesTT and ETech as you go through that application process and you get into the details of the specific operations. Certainly, I myself and the team of account managers, as well as my co-tour guides here today, as part of the application process, we do make site visits to the individual investors' existing facilities, as well as facilitating site visits to PPIE. And so we can get into a very specific on-site discussion around what some of your operational requirements are, involve ETech in those discussions to ensure that we're all on the same page and that we're operating in a manner that is in alignment with the overall approach and sectors of interest of development for the park. Hope that answers your question, Philip, and look forward to more specific engagement around the operations that you are conceptualizing or you are thinking of for the park. Another question from Mark Agil again. Would there be any negotiated utility rates for power, water for the park? The utility rates that will pertain to the park, Mark, will be the utility rates that pertain across Trinidad and Tobago on any park, and will of course be dependent on the tenant's operations and the amount of power or the amount of water that the amount of the usage of both those utilities. So InvesTT does have connections with the various utility providers, as I'm certain many of the tenants here or many of the businesses here do. And so we can provide the rates that will pertain to your particular operations, as well as connect you to the utility companies. But certainly the rates, there wouldn't be no special rates on this park. The rates that pertain across the country would also pertain to this park and would be specific to the usage of the utilities per individual tenant. Another question from a Kent Pyle. Thanks for the question, Kent. Okay, would the factory shells have any pre-constructed offices, washrooms, or is this the tenant's responsibility to complete? And so the park will, the factory shells will be shells. So they will be provided at the spaces that Stacey would have indicated earlier. There is four factory shells at a particular space that can house 1 to 4 tenants. I believe that is about 57,000 square feet. And there's one factory shell that can house up to 3 tenants that is at 42,000 square feet and with a mezzanine. So part of that square footage is a particular mezzanine. So we've left it flexible for the particular tenant either to occupy either the entire or part of that space and or to structure their office design, their washroom design as per their operational requirements. And so I think that shell, the fact that we're offering a shell, gives you that flexibility of designing in a manner that matches your operations. Okay, we are at, okay, I have another question popping up at 10:54 and we're good. I think we're on time. The engagement level is great. We have a question from Vishnu Balrup. Would a tenant be allowed to install solar power for their facility? Great question. And I think, you know, with the forward-looking nature of the park, with the 5G and of course the environmental considerations around the recreational space, I would want to say that solar capacity to support a tenant's operations would be allowed within the tenant's space. And again, which is why we really need a lot of detailed interactions around the space required to ensure that the space usage is contained within what the tenant is leasing. So I would venture to say, yes, that would be allowed for your specific requirements, and that we really need to engage more specifically around the type of operation that you are thinking of. And I'm thinking with solar power requirements, you're looking at some sort of heavy electricity usage, in manufacturing or assembly. And certainly we would love, Vishnu, to follow up with you on a one-on-one basis around your thoughts and ideas of installing solar power capacity to support your proposed operations. Okay, so we are at 10:55. I think we're right on time. I've gone a little bit above on the question and answer period, but that is very great. The level of engagement is high. And again, that even increases our excitement and our energy for further follow-ups. So at this point, I will bring an end to the question and answer period. Of course, if there are any further questions that you have, there will be ongoing specific interaction. As Sheila indicated in the initial instance, we are recording the presentation inclusive of the Q&A period. We will be providing that recording across our social media and our online platforms, as well as circulating the slide deck later on today to all registrants and participants. So just in summary, I would like to say, first of all, a thank you to my co-tour guides, Pramila and Stacy, for leading us through the presentation. Thank you to Sheila for the work you and your team have done in setting up the webinar, and of course, introducing the co-tour guides. Thank you very much, Sheila. And just in summary and conclusion, and in addition to my co-tour guides earlier presentation, InvesTT is poised. Our entire team is poised and ready. And so the contact details are before you. Just the tip of the iceberg. We have a team of account managers and business support professionals that are eager to speak to you individually and on a group basis. It could be a business association. We will be reaching out to the foreign missions to add to the work we've been doing with the TNT Embassy in Beijing. We'll also be individually reaching out to all of the tenants, the potential tenants, I'm getting ahead of myself, the potential tenants for the park individually. And so there will be a lot of individual engagement around your proposals for the park, your ideas for the park, all to say that we really believe in collaboration with ETEC, in collaboration with BCEG, and of course the Ministry of Trade and Industry, that Phoenix Park Industrial Estate will provide you the flexible space and configuration you require, the world-class infrastructure you require for your operations, of course, the proximity not only to the port to allow for easy access of your raw materials and easy access to markets, but a great location in close proximity to the highway network within Trinidad and Tobago for those of you that are also interested and involved in logistics and distribution. And of course, this will also be a special economic zone. The Phoenix Park will also be a special economic zone. So we believe the package of benefits and attributes really position the park to support your business expansion requirements. And InvesTT is poised and ready to individually engage with you to take those discussions further. So again, contact us, email, mobile, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, across our platforms. The presentation today will be shared, and you will be hearing from us in the next couple of days. So at 10:58 p.m. and recognition of all of our busy schedules, we will bring the webinar and tour to a close, thanking again my co-tour guides and my facilitator, Sheila. And we thank you all for attending and taking your time out of your day. And we thank you for the level of engagement on the question and answer period. And we look forward to further contact with you. Thank you very much.